It is early morning. I started this actually started listening around 5:30, 6 o'clock. And as I was listening to the book of John, it was the apocryphal John, not the ones in the canonized version. We have to remember that the apocryphals and the Nag Hammadis was written between 60s and 80s AD. That was after the death of Christ. And then we move into the 385 AD version of the Bible, and that was what was canonized. In other words, what was acceptable teachings, and what they want you to form your culture around. I was reading and listening to the book of John from the 65s AD, and I compare it to the 385. And I was listening to Sophia. Sophia was the one who had the great fall. And some of her falls were basically of the mind. And then, of course, by action, and where they try to tell you she was demonically possessed, when in fact she had thoughts without thoughtfulness. And one of her thoughts without thoughtfulness was that she could create without the masculine, without the approval of the masculine, without any interaction with the masculine. And so she created the lion head, snake-bodied son that did not resemble anything of the realms that she was within. It did not look like her, and it did not look like what she would want her husband to look like, if I would call that her husband. But one of her biggest shames was marked as an agitation. And that's the first time in anything I have ever read or listened to, and I've done a lot of reading and listening to, where agitation was mentioned in a creation. When you are studying anything in a biblical level, you want to go to the first time you hear it, and that gives you the absolute definition of what the use of it later on means. And so I'm going down here. This is, by the way, John 4, verse 5. We are talking about the pool of Bethesda. We are talking about the old man who had forgotten how to get into the water without the help of man. And here it is in the biblical translation through Webster, which I have found to be sometimes goes back further. I always choose older books. My lexicons are 150 years old or older, and I find a lot of great pleasure in that. But for an angel went down at a certain season. Remember, seasons are the giving and the taking. A certain season could be winter, which is the whole world, to summer, which is the heavenly realm. Seasons are not, that would be also the tithing. Some could be celebratory seasons. So we have to go by what they were doing there. That in his season was perhaps his of the five positions of the mind: thought, forethought, that type of thing. Okay, so he went into the pool and agitated the water. Okay, that whosoever then first, after the stirring of the water, stepped in, was cured of whatever disease he had. Now, what I found interesting, first off, you see, agitated is one of the key jumps to previous. Angel, cured, these are search words. But this really got to me because the stirring is that is where we come into what's called a repentance, a reminder of something we have missed. And because sin is to miss the mark, as an arrow is to a bullseye. And when we do this, we forget. So this is all of the mind. And so this man stepped into agitated waters. And that is the word that drove me here. In the agitated waters, the sin is shame of forgetfulness. And Sophia went through that in her shame of forgetfulness of what she knew she needed but did not have. And that was one of her falls. So this is a fallen man in agitated waters, reminding himself how good the water is. What is the good water? The good water is health. Because also following the agitation of Sophia is a list of multiple angels that are responsible for the development and the care of each specific part of the human body. So that's another reason why I was driven here. This man was seeking health. He was seeking help, but he actually was alleviated on by 38 years. Now, I want you to recognize 38, and when you're looking at the list of angels, is to the marrow. To the marrow of who this man was. He was reminded in the agitated waters that his forgetfulness was his shame. He forgot what it was like. There it is. Agitated. There we are. Agitated the water. Right? Whoever then first, after the stirring of the water, stepped in. Stirring is to remind you. Remind you of the water. Man is of water and of fire. Born of water. Baptism is, if you do not benefit from the baptism, you do not recognize that you are from a convert into an actual Christian. Okay? Benefit from the waters. So step into the water. Benefit, cured, redeemed. He was cured of his forgetfulness, of health, all the way down to his marrow by the deeds of the angels that were assigned to him. So you see this. So it wasn't that an angel being a man stood there with a stick and stirred the water. This is to the marrow of this man, to the mind of this man. He was restored by reminding himself that there is health on the other side, all the way to the marrow. This touches me because I am disabled, all the way to the marrow. I have had a metal pole installed on my leg, and they had to take marrow out to do that. So this is how we are tried. This is how we are tested. I do yearn for the days when I used to walk normal, but I have this until the summertime, the season of the heavenly realms. Well, God bless you. I hope this helped a little bit. Let you see that the translations are not what we are taught from the pulpits. Okay, these books we have in our hands are really subnotes to so many other explanations, and the only thing that changed was the language. Okay, how we define the language. This is a whole volume set of not just King James, but many, many other books and many, many other writers long before the canonization of the Constantines. Okay, so you guys stay blessed and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.